Hello, it's Richard Bowser once again from Property Investor News here in central London at the National Development Summit, talking with Rod Turner. Now, Rod, we were speaking earlier about your charity property workshop, but earlier today we were on a panel debate, which I was hosting with you and some other industry professionals, talking about the development outlook for property developers in 2020. Could you summarise what your thoughts are about the outlook for 2020 from a property and development perspective?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from my point of view, we look at the property industry or different various markets as tenant types, use classes and locations. And what we're finding is where there's a potential risk to one of those, that creates an opportunity in one of the other industries. And for example, we could have council tax banding on HMO rooms for private tenants. That could create an opportunity for student lets. We've got there's a big shift at the moment in how people are living. We've got multiple earners per household, especially before they have kids. So people are sharing housing, things like that, whether it's two people sharing a two-bed flat. They're both income earners, and that's something that's really not being captured in the data at the moment. There's obviously a big issue now with once people are having kids and where they can find that family-sized dwelling that they need.
That is in many major cities.
Absolutely, there's a huge issue at the moment with an ageing population and what's going to happen with care, not just for this ageing population, but for the next population when they age.
Yes. And that population group, as I think was mentioned by Ed Fowlkes, that population group, today's 30 to 40-year-olds, in 20, 25, 30 years' time, unless they inherit themselves, they're not going to have the equity to draw on that many of today's baby boomers like myself are able to do.
Well, the big issue is they're not going to have the equity to draw on because the baby boomers may need that equity to pay for the care facility.
Indeed, and because people are living a lot longer, and as I mentioned myself, dementia is an increasingly huge issue in terms of care.
I think really this is a pension crisis and part of it. And it's something that we've got to look at where the opportunities are in housing. We also, I think on the panel, touched about environmental and sustainable building as well. That's becoming a huge part, especially for commercial, big blue chip tenants. They're wanting to see that sustainable environment. People are willing to pay more for it. And again, with the younger generation coming up, they want to see that too. So there's certainly lots and lots of opportunity out there.
Well, if you've not been along to the National Development Summit, certainly an event each year, each January. It's full of education and also learning experiences to understand what's going on in the market. So finally, Rod, regionally, we've had a cycle, which I often talk about in my talks. London did very well for a few years and then it stagnated. The regions, the Midlands are doing very strongly. The Northwest, I know you've had investments yourself up in the Northwest. For 2020, where are the locations that you might be potentially,
I mean, I look at affordability as a key criteria and key metric for certain places, and I still think there's a lot of growth to be had in the Northwest and certain regions up there. But again, I also think there's massive opportunity in London. So we've seen 25-30% reduction in prices from 2015. If you add that to the weak pound, and foreign money is really getting about a 50% discount on a lot of this property. As that starts to flow in, that's going to create more uplift as well. So I think wherever you are in the country, there's huge opportunities. You've just got to do your due diligence as ever about how you can exit. And if you're using finance, it's how can you exit that debt finance? And that's really the key. And it's having 2-3 different ways of getting around that.
Rod, some very wise words there. I'm sure that many people watching this video will take on board and think through, hopefully. Rod Turner, thank you very much for your time today.
Thank
you, mate. So it's Richard Bowser, Property Investor News, here at the National Development Summit, London Blackfriars, with Rod Turner. Thank you, Rod.
Cheers.